Welcome to Being at Home with George. I'm excited to be here, and I'd like to talk about this idea of creating the possibility of being able to say yes, to embrace whatever comes up, and at the same time generate the hope so that we actually can get to knowing something and being able to act as if we know something. So, how to get from theory into actual practice. And my intention for these calls is to have a direct experience of whatever is being offered. So, from talking about, in this case, I'm going to talk about the love of learning and learning to love. And so, what we're trying to do is get what our intention is to have a direct experience of that. And so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive. And I'm reminded of the Power of Myth with Joseph Campbell. There's a quote I'd like to share with you that speaks to this. It says, "People say that what we're all seeking is a meaning for life. I don't think that's what we're really seeking. I think that what we're seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experiences on the purely physical plane will have resonances with our own innermost being and reality, so that we're actually feeling the rapture of being alive." And it's interesting because when he said that, and I listened to it, the rapture being fully alive, I'm reminded of my study with Viktor Frankl, and he talked about three ways of finding meaning. One way he talked about creating something or doing a deed is one way. The second way was, and this is what this is talking to, is to experience something or encounter someone to actually, and so I think that's love, really. It's really talking about love. And the third way was what I talk about a lot on here is that how do we respond to unavoidable suffering, the attitude we have. And the attitude is that you meet the suffering in a way where you find meaning in suffering. And when we find meaning in suffering, it ceases to be suffering. So, this idea of having a direct experience of what's being offered. And so, my approach has always been this idea of learning for learning's sake. That's one of the things that I learned early on in my recovery, that I needed to be intellectually stimulated. Now I see it as pursuing excellence and wisdom with grace and ease. And so, more to the point, it's about the love of learning and learning to love. And to embrace everything and generate hope allows us to do exactly that, to say, okay, there's a lesson here. So when something happens, the idea is to learn what the lesson is. And if I don't learn the lesson, then the history repeats itself until I get the lesson. And so for me, it's about the love of learning, but also what am I learning? Learning to love. And I talk about it all the time, that all you need is love. And so this idea of love, or saying yes to whatever comes up, embrace it, generate the hope so that we have the power, the will to actually seek to understand what this means. And so whatever comes up, we have this possibility, because learning for learning's sake, and I've talked about this several times, that when we learn and achieve, it actually generates enthusiasm. And so we get in touch with this energizing enthusiasm. And so whatever comes up, we say yes to it and we learn from it. And in athletics, and even in daily life, when we make a mistake or when we don't get it right, we have the opportunity to reset, reboot, renew, and just do it again. Try again, keep trying until we can do it. And what's the lesson here? Learn the lesson and then go back. And so, but if we're involved in, like I've been, just learning for learning's sake, and learning to love, learning to say yes to everything, learning to generate hope and realize that there's something to be gotten here, and that's it. But by doing that, why do we do it? Because when we do it, when we get through it, we have the ability to actually feel the rapture of being alive. And not only is it a great experience, but it's a way to meaning, the meaning of encounter, the meaning of experiencing something or encountering someone. In this case, encountering ourselves for the greater good for all beings. Because when we do that, we get beyond the illusion of separateness, and then we actually experience the I and the other are one.